Wildrifoo is here for another Wildrift video. In this video, I'll show you some tips and tricks that will help you in your ranked games and make you a better support player. So, grab your popcorn and watch this video until in the end. Let's go! First of all, this guide is for the support mains out there or other players who wants to learn and to be a better support for their games. Let's start with the question of what is a support role? As a support player, your primary role is to assist your allies and control the map through vision, heals, shields, and crowd controls abilities. The first tip is communicate with your team. As a support player, it's important to communicate with your team and let them know what you're planning to do. Ping objectives and enemies, call out summoner spells, and let your team know when your abilities are on cooldown. Because, to remind them on how you will react on every situation, use the chat box and the ping, or you can also use the team voice to communicate with them. The second tip is keep the vision up. As a support player, one of the primary roles is to provide vision for your team. So make sure to place wards in strategic locations such as bushes or near objective to give your team information on enemy movements. There are different types of wards. Each of these wards has its own unique benefits and can be used to gain an advantage on the map. Good vision control can be crucial to the success of your team, so it's important to use these wards wisely and consistently throughout the game. Always remember, to be a good support, that's not all about just shielding and healing your allies. Warding bushes and vision control is also important. So the third tip is protect your carries. Some other players are just focusing in their fed allies. They forget the carry on your team. Your carries, such as ADC, are the primary damage dealers on your team. It's important to protect them in fights by using your abilities to peel for them and keep them alive. If the damage dealer in your team died, you can lose easily in team fights. So, always protect your carries and win the game. The next tip is roam and make plays. While your primary role is to support your team, don't be afraid to roam and make plays. Look for opportunities to gank other lanes, secure objectives, or catch out enemy champions. It's not all about protecting your one ally. You can roam and go for another lanes to get a kill for your team. The next tip is build the right items. Make sure to build items that are appropriate for the situation. For example, if the enemy team has a lot of card controls, build items that provide tenacity. If your team needs more damage, consider building more offensive items. Don't waste your gold. Think about what's your team needed. Supporting teammates is an important role. If you are going to pick support like Leona, build the right item for it. Don't buy some attack damage items that will not benefit the champion. Always think what is the right build and for the counter build for your enemies. The next tip is master your champion. It's important to have a good understanding of your champion's abilities and how they can be used to support your team. Practice in both matches or in the practice tool to get a better feel for your champion. Don't go in ranked games of not knowing what your champion is. How will you climb in ranked games if you don't know what strategies and abilities of champion you have? Making plays and knowing what is the strategy of your champion is better. We know that winning is the most important, but you can't win if you don't have knowledge on what you're doing in game. This will also apply not on support role. Every champion in this game has a unique playstyle, and before you go in ranked games, please practice your champion in PvP, bot matches, or practice tool. Mastering 1 to 2 champions are better. Practice your playstyle to win in your games. The next step is help secure objectives. Supports can help secure objectives like Dragon and Baron by providing vision control, crowd control, and other forms of utility. Make sure you're assisting your team in securing these objectives when they are available. Your primary focus should be on assisting your teammates and protecting your allies. Rather than trying to deal damage or take kills, make sure you understand your role and how you can best contribute to the team's success. And always remember that you need to stay alive. As a support player, you're important to your team's success, so it's crucial that you stay alive as long as possible in team fights. Position yourself carefully, stay behind your front line, and use your abilities to keep yourself and your allies alive. As a support player, you need to know when to engage. You can also be the primary engage for your team. So, it's important to know when to engage and when to hold back. Make sure you're communicating with your team and that you have a clear plan before engaging. Don't be tilt if you lose in one team fight. Stay positive. It's important to stay positive and be a good teammate. You may not get as much recognition as other roles, but your contributions are still important. Stay positive, encourage your team, and work together to achieve victory. As a support player, you'll be using a lot of abilities to help your team, which can drain your mana quickly. Make sure you're managing your mana effectively by only using abilities when necessary and considering items like Ardent Sensor to help with mana regeneration. Don't forget the map. Stay aware of the map. As a support player, you are responsible for controlling vision on the map. But it's also important to stay aware of enemy movements and objectives. Keep an eye on the minimap and communicate any relevant information to your team. I hope you learned some tips and tricks to climb easily in ranked games. If you like this kind of content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.